You're most welcome back to the Matchbook Weekend Football Podcast. Delighted to be joined as ever by Mr. Adrian Clarke and Mark O'Hare. Fresh from profitable midweek, gentlemen. I know it was kind of a slate of games that we weren't particularly excited about, but having chatted to Mark pre-recording, Mark, it was kind of one of those ones where, you know, there was less there and it was maybe more of an opportunity to dig into games, and you did so, and good for you winners.
Yeah, it's nice when it turns out that way, Sully, but I think you're absolutely right. I think when there is a sort of, we haven't got the world to pick from, and you've kind of got to sort of focus in on 5 or 6 games, you can often find a few kind of low-hanging fruits, if you like. And yeah, we weren't massively confident in recording, but it's we're not going to sort of downplay packing a few winners after sort of putting in the effort and the research to find them. So yeah, it was happy days.
Yeah, Adrian Clarke, Sheff Utd, finally off the mark.
Yes,
we nailed it.
Yeah, we gave him the big build-up, didn't we? We said it had to be now or never, and look, yeah, it was. I mean, it fell in their laps with the red card, but I think they were worthy winners. Newcastle, I think I labelled them bang average. They're not that good. Yeah, they're not that good. And it was nice to get. It was nice to get Salford City. Nice to get a last-minute winner, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what time the goals come, as long as they arrive. So happy days on that one.
Yeah, and best bet of the week too. You guys tag teamed at Manchester City to win 2-0, and it was a funny one in the sense that they only got that one goal before half time, and it was quite a good position to be in because you kind of felt that maybe if they were 3-0 up, they might just take the foot off the gas. But when a team is 1-0 up like that, they're tuned in, zoned in, 3 points, and get out of dodge. So yeah, look, I mean, we're recording on Thursday morning. There's still one more game to be played. Arsenal and Crystal Palace on Thursday night, but Manchester City to win 2-0, 1.83 was the best bet for Mark and Adrian. Sheff Utd 2.53, Salford City at 2.27, and we had 50% win on Burnley plus 1.25. The only loss there, Wolves and Everton, which was under 2.25. 2 goals in the first half of Molineux. That was surprising. Obviously, today we're going to lead with the Northwest Derby, and what a derby it promises to be as Liverpool take on Manchester United at Anfield. We're then going to look at Sunday's other main game in our eyes, and it's Sheffield United against Tottenham, Leicester City against Southampton, which is a Saturday night fixture, and we're going to wrap up the main slate with Leeds United and Brighton Hove Albion. So Adrian, I'll get to you first, mate. We're going to start as ever. There's only one place we can start, of course, and that is at Anfield. Current betting, the time of recording at Matchbook, as you can see on screen right now, is Liverpool at just over odds against 2.03. You can back Manchester United 3.7. The draw available at 3.94. Manchester United getting a half a goal start on the Asian handicap at 1.917. That being, if it's a draw, your bet wins as well. So you have the draw on side. And the total is 2 3/4, slightly shaded towards the over there, just under 1.88. Adrian, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been saying during the week that there is no better time to play this Liverpool team. I think with the way he was saying it was because Manchester United are in such great form. But it's hard to look against it. I mean, since that Liverpool 7-0 thumping against Crystal Palace, they've been exceptionally disappointing. I was looking at stats this morning, last night on The Athletic. They had only like 7 or 8 shots in target in the game since. It's crazy stuff.
Oh, there's no doubt Liverpool are flat at the moment. There's an attacking force. It's not the Liverpool that we've come to expect. It's a bit slower. It's a bit stuttery. So yeah, look, the eye test tells you that they're way below par, and that Manchester United have got a great chance here. Then you look at their record at home, and you actually say, well, it's not that bad. They've literally just dropped 2 points against West Bromwich Albion. They've won every other match at Anfield, including a few toughies where they rose to the occasion against Spurs, against Leicester, against Wolves, etc. So you have to respect Liverpool's home record. We know it's a long time, and they've scored since they lost, and they've scored 2 or more goals in 7 of their 8 home games. So the underlying numbers at Anfield are still good, even though they're not the Liverpool of last season, either going forward or particularly at the back. And that is where I see the main interest in this game. Liverpool's vulnerability at the back. It's there for all to see. They miss Virgil van Dijk massively. United often go into this game very defensive, whether it's Solskjaer or previous managers. They have set themselves up to stop Liverpool really and to play on the counter. And although they'll play on the counter again, I think there'll be a lot more ambition about United this time. They'll smell blood, or at least they should smell blood, because they've got the tools, I think, to unlock Liverpool in this game. Marcus Rashford's a prime example with his pace and dynamism on the counter attack, and Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba firing the bullets. I think he's a key man. I dug deep. I did a piece previewing the game for the Premier League, and United on the road, 22 goals in 8 games. Now I asked our friends at Opta, how's that compared to across Premier League history? It's the second best in Premier League history, the joint second best with Manchester City. The best is City 11-12. Manchester United under Fergie never scored this many away goals across the first 8 games. So look, that's where they're at on that. And on Marcus Rashford, he's had a direct goal involvement. That's a goal or assist in every away match so far. Every single game. He's had 11 across 8 games. So he's one of the best players on the road in the Premier League. And I think United can cause Liverpool problems. Will they win the game? I don't know. But I do see goals. I think both teams to score appeals. I think United with a +5 handicap appeals, or even the draw, which is obviously nicely priced at 3.94. So for me, I can't go with Liverpool here. I think Manchester United have got a fighting chance of getting a score draw or even nicking an exciting victory.
Yeah, Mark, even just on that performance against Burnley on Tuesday night, they probably should have won by more. But having said that, they did grind it out, and that was something that was probably missing from this team last season in particular. And you would suggest, look, if it's 0-0 or 1-1, United would be delighted to come away from this with a draw, surely. And but what's the market kind of telling you so far, Mark? Is there any kind of angle in that you're looking at the price, or is the market pretty much dead on so far?
There is one angle which kind of goes against Adrian a little bit, so I have to sort of respectfully disagree on some of it, but makes some valid points as well. I think there was a graphic that came across the game against Burnley, which was quite staggering, really. I'm pretty sure I got it right, but since Bruno Fernandes arrived at Man United, they've earned more points in the Premier League than anyone else, which is utterly remarkable. It's extraordinary, really, to consider they've been the best team over the past 12 months in terms of points on the board. I don't necessarily think they've been the best team with the eye test, or certainly with the underlying numbers either. But you look at that team who played in midweek: Pogba, Bruno, Martial, Rashford, Cavani. It's bloody strong. It's really impressive. And obviously their away record unbeaten in 12 months since this game at Anfield. So there's a lot to like about United for sure. I just think that their progress is being made not because of Solskjaer. He's just almost a passenger. It's just because they've got so many quality players in that squad. But even still, I looked at this game from 12 months ago. Liverpool were 1.46 at home to Manchester United. Now, they're obviously odds against. A lot has changed. Obviously, the partial loss of home and field advantage, injuries to Van Dijk and Gomez. But you look at that United team from 12 months ago, and it featured Brandon Williams, Andrea Pereira. There was no Rashford, no Pogba, no Bruno or Cavani. So, it's understandable why the prices have kind of changed so dramatically. But again, kind of Solskjaer opted for containment that day. They were going through a bit of a rut at the time, and it ended up 2-0. But Liverpool's second goal didn't arrive till stoppage time, and they weren't overwhelmingly good that day either. So without the Anfield crowd, I'm not kind of bowled over by the price on Liverpool at all. So yeah, I mean, we know all about their unbeaten record, and if you exclude Man City, February 2018 was the last time Liverpool were evens or bigger at home in the Premier League. So it's quite a long time since they've been this price. But I make them more about 185, 190. So there is a bit of margin there in Liverpool, but I've actually opted to go against goals here, under 3 goals at 177, knowing that 4 goals or more is the only way I'll lose my stake. 3 of the last 12 head-to-heads have featured 3 goals or more. So 9 of those have featured 2 goals or fewer and would have returned profit in this market. And that's despite the golfing class between these two teams quite regularly in this fixture down the years recently. Never, almost ever, does a cricket score get run up between these two teams. They're always really tight, often quite dreary games, I feel, as well. So it kind of flies in the face of all the relative goal trends at Anfield, as well as United away from home. But we saw that happen in midweek against Burnley too, so it's not a huge surprise, really. And I just don't think this is going to be end-to-end. I think it's going to be caution and preservation almost from both teams. You look at United's games against City, Chelsea and Arsenal, they featured a grand total of 1 goal. And meetings between the big six this season have produced 9 under 2.5 goal winners from 14. I don't have a huge amount else or sort of statistical evidence to support the view. It's just a perception of how I think the game might play out. I think United on top at the moment. I think they'll be more than happy to contain and counter. Liverpool will probably sort of come forward and try and set the scene or set the tone of the game. And that's where Adrian's absolutely right. They could be vulnerable to the counters, etc. But I think they'll be well aware of United's threats. And I think United's record against big six teams under Solskjaer looks really quite decent on paper. However, it's regressed quite significantly in the last 12 months or so. And I think that's because big six teams have worked out how United want to play these games and they're a bit more cute about it.
All right, kind of differing views there. So, gentlemen, Adrian, you were kind of more trending towards the over with regards to goal markets and markets.
Yeah, I was, but I'm more leaning towards Manchester United getting a result. So, so my selection would probably be United plus 0.5 of a goal. So obviously,
I agree, but the draw is a runner here for sure.
Yeah, the draw at 3.94 is definitely a good price. There's been a lot of draws in this fixture in the past, of course. Yeah, it could go one of two ways. Mark's absolutely right. A lot of these games are cagey, the top of the table affairs. Liverpool, Man United in particular. I just feel that Liverpool have. I don't think they're going to trust their defence here. I think it might be a more open game than we've seen in the past. But we'll have to wait and see. But I give United a chance of getting a positive result for sure.
Let's kind of split the difference here. So, guys, let's take Mark's selection of 1.77 under 3 goals, and we can take Manchester United plus a half a goal, keep the draw on side as well at 1.92. And Adrian, just before we come off this, I want to ask you about Paul Pogba, because I was reading certain articles post that Burnley game, and people are lauding. It was a terrific performance. And the guy is capable of this, but why can't we get this every week? And it's almost like I see these great tributes to him during the week, saying what a tremendous player, World Cup winner, Solskjaer's lauding, and you're like, hey, why can't you just do it every week? You shouldn't have, for the money the guy's on. We shouldn't be just relying on one game up Turf Moor to say, oh, he's a great player. No,
it's true. He's a very, very frustrating player. Gifted boy, isn't he? I think for Fernandes, I mean, he was the main man, wasn't he? Prior to Fernandez's arrival, in terms of, he wasn't always picked, but he was a bit of a talisman. Or certainly when he first arrived, everything went through him. And now not everything goes through him. It goes to, Bruno Fernandes is the star of the show. You know what? He might have got used to that now. And with the pressure off, he can start to express himself a little bit more. I don't know. He seems relatively happy at the moment. I do think in the big games there's a slight issue there with playing Pogba and Fernandes, because Pogba does switch off. He makes some really bad defensive lapses at times, whether it's marking at set pieces or diving into a tackle or being slow to track a runner. I wouldn't trust him as a manager against the top class opposition defensively, but we've seen what he can do. So it's fitting him in is the issue for Solskjaer moving forward.
Yeah, and just on Fernandes, the stat that Mark had there was quite revealing. Like, there's 50 million well spent. There's a lot of clubs that spend 50 million on a lot worse than Bruno Fernandes. Okay, guys, let's move on. So 2 selections there: United plus a half a goal and under 3 goals at 1.77. Okay, let's move on. Sheffield United against Tottenham, the other game on Sunday that we're most keen to talk about. We're all keen to talk about Sheffield United, but I'll give you credit here, guys. You have been on the money with Sheffield United even outside of that game midweek. You seem to have a good read in this team, and maybe their record is slightly unjustified. So Sheffield United, you come back here at 6.5, which is 11-2 in fractional terms. Tottenham Hotspur just under 1.64. The draw is available 4.0. Sheffield United getting a full goal start on the Asian handicap at just over 1.85, and the total is 2.5, slightly trending towards the under. Mark O'Hare, that win obviously against Newcastle, albeit they had the extra man for a lot of that game as well. But it should, but it will provide a bounce for the Blades on Sunday against Tottenham?
Should do. I think Adrian nailed it before the game against Newcastle by saying the win against Bristol Rovers will give them a lift, and certainly that victory will too. I was quite pleased that the players didn't over celebrate the victory at the end of the game. I think that was quite a good, strong show of character from them. They know they're in the fight, but it's just one step between a a long road to recovery, really. But great to get them on side and get beyond them when they did finally break that run of results. It did kind of feel inevitable it was going to be against Newcastle, and it was nice that a bit of luck actually went their way with the red card and the penalty as well, because they've been on the wrong side of those decisions numerous times. Before the show, I was doing an analysis for a piece I was writing this weekend on Sheff Utd actually, and I was sort of looking at luck and trying to sort of find a metric to sort of manage luck, which is very, very difficult. But there's a few out there which are far too boring to bring up on this show. But Sheff Utd come out as the most unlucky by quite also the sort of lean towards under 2 goals against Newcastle was pretty comfortable in the end as well. So basically for me it's about kind of approaching this game in a very similar vein. So I like Sheff Utd with a goal start on the Asian handicap, and I also think the unders appeal. I think we saw again against Newcastle, but they do struggle to create a huge amount of clear-cut opportunities, and that was a very defensive Newcastle team too, and they didn't break them down significantly, I'd say, and also it wasn't completely plain sailing at the back either, but they'll be well aware of Spurs' threats. Stevens and Baldock should come back into the team now as well, and I think they're ready for the battle. Wilder's also no fool. He'll know exactly how Tottenham want to play this game too. He'll ensure the sort of transitions and the space in behind is limited, so I suspect they'll be reasonably cautious and kind of respectful of what Tottenham can offer. But 11 of their 15 losses this season have been by exactly 1 goal margins. Last season, only 1 of 6 home defeats arrived by 2 goals or more. They did beat Spurs here. They've held them away from home as well. So there's no fear there in what they're going to be coming up against. But also, I know Tottenham will come into plenty of criticism for that result against Fulham and their performance too. But surprised to learn, but they've only conceded 6 goals from open play this season, which is really, really impressive actually. But just on the unders, 7 of 9 now at Bramall Lane have gone under 2.5. Beginning since the start of last season, 70% of home games under 2.5. Spurs unders in 5 of the last 6 away, including all 4 trips to the bottom half. So I'm expecting this game to play out very similar to how they played at Palace, at Burnley, and at West Brom. And I think there's another game as well, which was pretty dour to watch too. So expect Sheff Utd to be very competitive in this in a low-scoring game.
Adrian, what do you think about this one? I didn't actually see the Tottenham, the rearranged game against Fulham last night, but literally just scrolled through Twitter this morning and just the world seemed to be complaining about Jose Mourinho and his tactics there. That was as bad as what people are saying?
Well, no, it wasn't terrible. It was just cautious at 1-0 up. They sort of sat on it as they have done in various games this season. Fulham were the braver team. Fulham had a venture. They were desperate to score goals, and it didn't feel like Spurs were. It felt like Spurs were happy to wait for the odd counter-attack where they'd probably nick a goal because Son's so good, because Kane is such a lethal finisher. So they got what they deserved in terms of dropping points. But I watched most of that game, and for me, if Fulham had won it, it wouldn't have been undeserved. They come into this one sort of a little bit dented. Tottenham, I had exactly the same numbers as Mark written down here in terms of unders. That Bramall Lane has been has housed some pretty dull games so far this season. Not many goal fests. I think United game was the only one that really lit fire. So I think it would be cagey. Spurs, if you take out those mental away games at Southampton and Man United, have been involved in lots of really low scoring games on the road. So for me, I had exactly the same two gambles down as Mark. Sheffield United +1 or under 2.5 goals. I think that they're both really appealing. I mean, if you want to push the boat out, under 1.75, I noticed was just over 3. That's bold. That is bold. I don't think I'll be doing that myself, but I don't see this being a high scoring game.
Yeah, no, look, at the end of the day, even if Tottenham win 1-0, we win one of our bets, we get money back on the other, so it's still a profitable venture. Okay, another 2 bets in that game. Like it, right? A lot to look forward to on Sunday, gentlemen, right? Let's move on to Saturday night's game. This has the potential to be a cracker, potential. I'd say that now, of course, could be 0-0, but Adrian, come to you first here about Leicester City and Southampton. Just take the betting first at Matchbook. Just over 1.88. You can back the Foxes at home on Saturday night. Southampton 4.4. The draw available at 3.9. Southampton getting a half goal start. The good odds against are 2.05. And the total is 2.75, slightly shading towards the under. And Adrian can just very loosely kind of dig into this game, Southampton have terrific road record. Leicester City not terrific at home either this season, but it's hard to not be impressed with what they've done the last couple of weeks. They just seem to be really well organised, whatever. But what way are you looking here from a betting angle? You want to be on side with the Foxes or Southampton this week?
Well, I found this quite a hard game actually to look at. I think because Leicester are on a roll. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Harvey Barnes in particular is playing very well, but he's not the only one. Jamie Vardy had a rest in the cup, so he'll come back nice and fresh for this one. And yeah, Leicester, despite being fallible at home, are in good form. So for that reason, it's hard to oppose them. But then you look at Southampton, 3 clean sheets in a row, obviously beat Liverpool and beat them quite comfortably, really. And they've had a nice break since then. January the 4th was their last game, so they're coming to it fresh. Defensively, very solid. 3 goals against in the last 7. That goes all the way back to the start of December. So since the start of December, they've conceded 3 goals, Southampton. So they're a tough nut to crack. And Leicester, as we've seen, have drawn blanks on home turf previously. Villa, Everton, 2 that spring to mind. West Ham, they were pouring as well. So I can see reason to support Southampton, who've got 8 clean sheets, by the way, in 17. So it's not just a lucky run. They're one of the best defensive teams in the division. The only caveat against Southampton here is that against the big clubs or the stronger sides in the division, they have conceded goals this season, obviously apart from Liverpool. So I'm finding it hard because you can argue either way. I'm predicting a low-scoring game, under 2.5, or Saints plus half a goal. You mentioned quite a good price on that.
Yeah, 2.05. Yeah.
I think given Southampton's clean sheet record, given how tight they are, given how well they play on the road, and the fact that Leicester do have these off days on home turf, that's my pick really here. I think Saints plus half a goal is where I'd go. But look, if Mark was going in all in on Leicester, which would go against the grain this season, then
sure. Yeah.
I'll be all ears because they're playing pretty well themselves.
Yeah, Southampton well rested. They haven't actually played since that win over Liverpool. Mark, I don't think you're going all in on the Foxes here. Just a hunch I have. But what way are you looking at this one? I know you'll probably find this one pretty difficult as well.
No, I found this one pretty straightforward, to be honest, because it's price led, and I was sort of looking down disappointingly as Adrian was starting, because I thought he was heading towards a Leicester-based bet, and I was like, no, we're going to disagree on this. So yeah, it's the same bet. It's Southampton plus half a goal at odds against. Would you rather play Southampton with the draw on side at odds against or Leicester at odds on? For me, it's a no-brainer really. Of course, the league table says Leicester have only earned a point fewer than Liverpool, but they've overperformed. I think that's fact. 35% of their goal tally has come from penalties and own goals. That's not also accounting for deflections. They rank 12th in terms of XG generated from open play. 9 clubs have taken more shots from inside the penalty area than Leicester. So they have been very clinical in taking their opportunities, as well as winning matches as well. But 78% of their points tally has been collected against the bottom half. Against the top half, 2 wins, 1 draw, 4 defeats. The wins are away at Spurs and City, curiously. But there's been a bias towards their away performances compared to home as well, as Adrian mentioned. In terms of expected points, Leicester are level with Palace and Sheff Utd at home this season with 9. They've earned actually 10 points at home, so pretty much bang in line, being very, very average at home. And they've earned 22 actual points compared to 17 expected points away from home. So clearly they are having more joy on the travels. But I think the reason for that is they get more freedom to express themselves, and their style and approach is suited to that. You can see their average possession levels are down 7% when playing away from home. So they are playing on the counter-attack much more than the KP. So yeah, I wouldn't be queuing up to back them at odds on, because in the past 12 months, behind closed doors, they failed to beat the likes of Norwich, West Ham, Brighton and Fulham as odds-on favourites. And Southampton as well. So yeah, for me it's quite simple really to take Saints at odds against. They've lost twice in 15 since they started the season really, really poorly. They're unbeaten away since the opening day of the season. I know the schedule's been quite soft in that time as well. They've only conceded 2 goals in 6 games. Danny Ings is available. Their underlying process isn't remarkable whatsoever, but neither is Leicester's. So I had sort of Leicester closer to sort of 2.1 for this game. rather than 1.9-ish. So I think there's a bit of wriggle room there. So if you want Saints on side, they've only lost 7 away games in 27 since the start of last season. They've scored in 23 of those. If they score at KP, Leicester require 2 goals, and Saints aren't giving up a huge amount of opportunities right now. So yeah, Saints half a goal, please.
Yeah, I like it. 2.05, and Saints get their goalkeeper back as well, one of the better ones in the league, Alex McCarthy. Right, let's just slow it down for just 1 second, guys. Just take a recap of what we have so far. We're taking Manchester United plus a half a goal at 1.92, and 3 goals at 1.77 in the Northwest Derby. We're taking Sheffield United plus 1 goal at 1.86, another 2.5 in the same game. We're taking Southampton plus a half a goal at a nice price, 2.05. And there's a lot of good value even early in the week in Matchbook. And if you have not got a Matchbook account, what are you doing? You're missing out on all of this value. So if you haven't got a Matchbook account, you want to sign up today, we have this exclusive offer, bet 10 and get 10. So if your first 10 is 10 quid at odds of 2.0, which is even money or more, you get £10 the next day for another bet. So plenty to keep you entertained for the weekend ahead, and another terrific set of fixtures, hopefully. Let's move on to Saturday's fixture that we're kind of most keen to talk about, and this is Leeds United against Brighton. Mark, come to you first for this, but let's take a look at the betting first of all. You can back Leeds United at home at 2.1, Brighton at 3.58, the draw at 3.78. Brighton Hove Albion getting a half a goal start on the Asian handicap at 1.85. And the total is 3, but slightly favouring the under. And Marco here, that's surprising to me because literally every game Leeds United are in, there's at least 3 goals. Even losing 3-0 to Crawley, there was another 3 goals in that one. Do you expect a bit of a bounce back here? Brighton Hove Albion have a long, was it like 9 games in order to win the Premier League? It's long enough run right now.
Yeah, I mean, if Adrian found Leicester Southampton difficult, this is the one I found difficult we're talking about this week.
Yeah.
Leeds, quite rightly, heavily criticised for that defeat against Crawley. I don't think they'll care too much about it. Happy to give some of their frontline players a bit of a breather. Plus, they've had a full week's rest coming into this game to prepare for Brighton, who, you know, were quite strong and went to extra time in that game against Newport at the weekend, and then had to play Man City away on Wednesday, and that's before the Saturday game as well. So in terms of rest deficit, there's clearly one winner in that regard. And you know, if you're going to have a rest deficit and you're coming in against the fittest team in the league, that's not ideal, is it? You're going to be feeling weary. Playing Leeds on a Saturday with a 2-day rest is not ideal. So, we talked midweek about Brighton's tendency to be competitive, especially against teams outside of the elite, but their proficiency in front of goal always lets them down, and sort of continued errors in defence and poor set-piece defending as well. It's costing them. So I do believe in the Brighton process long term. I believe in Potter too, but they are in a bit of a spiral. Quite a decent performance, it should be said, at the Etihad, but they're just lacking confidence and conviction, I think, in the final third. Away from home, they've been a bit more like themselves compared to what they've done at the Amex, but they're in a precarious position, and that starts to affect the mindset a little bit. So they're just not winning enough games at the moment, and to be considered reliable. So you look at that price and Leeds at odds against, it's probably about where I'd have them, to be fair. But Brighton, like Leeds, did their best work against the bottom half, as I said, unbeaten against the bottom half this term. So, yeah, Leeds have only won 7 league games all season. They do have a perfect record against the bottom 6. I think it's 5 wins from 5. So there's quite a lot to like about them. But the Premier League clearly is showing a deficit in terms of home field advantage this season. Only 37% of games have been won by the home team. Only 6 sides are boasting a win rate of 50% or better at home as well. So, yeah, I kind of looked at all the metrics and feel these two teams are quite well matched in many regards. So I've actually plumped for another unders, under 3, which might fly in the face of what you said there, Sully. Because you look at the Leeds from an underlying process perspective, particularly XG against last season's top 6. They've conceded over 50% of their total XG compared to the rest of the division. So they're still conceding opportunities, but it's nowhere near as bad as what the overall picture does look like. So, I just kind of tie that in with Brighton's kind of powder puff attack. And so, and they're not also conceding many chances as well. Only Man City have conceded fewer shots in the box this season than Brighton, which is remarkable, really. So, I go for under 3 goals. It's copped in 6 of Brighton's 8 games against the bottom half. We know Leeds are very erratic, so it's a bit of a a shot in the arm, really, but we'll see what happens. I hope Adrian's
be
got
honest,
something else.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I hadn't planned on watching this game, but now that you mentioned on the 3 goals in the Leeds United game, I'm definitely not going to watch it. Not a hope. Adrian, Clarke, what are you thinking with this one, man?
I've got the same one, Mark.
Oh, really?
No, I've got the same. Look, despite the reputation of Leeds, only 50% of their home games have gone over 2 goals. So it's not as if Ellen Road is full of goal fests every single week. I believe that Brighton are a better team on the road, no doubt about that. And they've actually they've scored more goals away than anyone else in the bottom half. I think they've got 11 away from the MX. So they're probably more confident there than they would be down on the south coast. So I think they can go there and be quite competitive. Obviously, 9 without a win is going to sap their confidence, but it will focus their minds potentially on keeping things nice and tight. And we know that Bamford gets lots of chances, so there'll be a big focus on shutting him down. I rate Potter. I think he's a good tactical coach. I know it's not clicking for him at the moment, but I think these are 2 sort of smart thinking managers that might cancel one another out. That often happens when you get 2 tacticians colliding. So yeah, unders is good for me. I think Brighton might be able to nick something. I mean, the draw no bet would appeal to me on Brighton. I think that's around about 2.5. I just think that they've got a good big set piece threat. Brighton, 3 centre halves, big central midfielder as well if White plays in there. And as we've seen already this season, Leeds are shocking when it comes to defending corners and wide free kicks. So I'd fancy Brighton from a dead ball, but I don't think this is going to be a free flowing end-to-end game full of opportunities. I think under 3. Under 3 is my first pick. Brighton draw no bet would be my second.
I found fascinating about Leeds United that 1-0 win they got against Burnley on the 27th, just after Christmas time, was the last time before that they won 1-0 at home was April 2003. It's only 18 years ago. So that's a fair spell ago that they haven't been keeping clean sheets at home. Okay, sounds good. This is a good point, actually. Yeah, sorry, man.
Yeah, it's not many seasons.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I caught that. You know what, Adrian? I pulled you on that one of the first weeks in the season, so I'm glad that someone corrected me on that. I just want to take a couple of comments in as well, guys. Just while we're here, there's a lot of people watch us live on YouTube this morning. Thanks for getting in touch. And actually, just a good one on the unders bets. We've got a lot of unders angles this morning. David M has been in touch. Hey guys, I think those under bets certainly fair enough, but I hate watching a game hoping for no goals. Yeah. It's good strategy for you, David. Don't watch the game. That is my strategy. Maybe just have it loaded up on flash score. You don't have to watch every game. There's a lot of
agony, isn't it? It is agony. I must admit.
It depends. It depends. It does depend. If it's one of those games that's absolutely dull as hell, you're absolutely delighted with it. So yeah, maybe
you can't rest. The problem is when you've gone unders, you can't rest because there could be a late flurry. So you're nervous till the end. But look, when it comes off, it feels good, David.
I will say that it's the propensity with the market. It's always tilted towards getting less value on the over because the human psychology will always try to place the betting over. You know that if you want an entertainment, you want to bet overs. If you're a miserable fuck like sometimes like me and Mark are, you will back unders. So like we have absolutely no problem with that. Everyone else wants to back unders, we'll happily take overs. We'll happily take the unders on that side. A couple of more questions, and we'll just rattle through these. From David Monies, if Mark and Adrian go head to head, I'll go with Mark. I think that's harsh. I think it's a very even record there. If anything, it's nearly level. It may be 60-40 sometimes, but don't see. You know what, Adrian? He obviously isn't following your stuff on Insights, mate, because just go over that. There's loads of stuff on Insights as well.
It's all right. It just makes me hungrier. It just makes me
hungrier, mate.
Absolutely. But look, Mark's course and distance over many years, you see. You know, I understand.
You are a bit new. You are a bit fresh behind the ears with this one, all right, for sure. One other one in from Umet Ceylan. You guys missed both City and Tottenham results. Still love you, though. Wrong on that one. If you're talking about midweek, we got City right and we didn't preview Tottenham game. So maybe you might be talking about some other week, but you're wrong on that one. And very last one, I don't think we'll be able to answer this from Shane on YouTube. Hey lads, not an EAPL question. Do you see Euro 2021 being changed to one country to hold all matches? Just on that, we will be back for Euro 21. Hopefully, if there's a tournament, 3 guys. But Adrian's a tough one. I mean, just with COVID and stuff, they would be better off having one country, surely.
I think so, and I can't see it being here. Can you? I mean, unfortunately, it was going to be a big advantage for England with the semi-finals and the final at Wembley. But I think that dream might soon be over, unfortunately. But there will be places in Europe, I'm sure, that have got things under control by the summer, and it would make sense, wouldn't it?
Look at the model it did for the Champions League and the Europa League. Look, the Europa League was in Germany, the Champions League was in Portugal. It did work, it's not the end of the world if it does happen, right? Let's move on, guys. EFL selections. First of all, to you, Adrian. Take it away, mate. Where are we going this week for the value?
Got a couple for you. Starting League One, Swindon and Doncaster. Appeals big time. Swindon, both teams to score 62% of their games. Donny, both teams to score 72% of their games. They score a lot, they concede. So these are two pretty entertaining sides. Swindon really impressed me. They won at Ipswich last weekend. They've got Scott Twine back from Newport on loan. He's a real talented player, and he scored a worldie. And they've brought in a number of other loanees that sort of re-energised Swindon. So I think they'll go into this game feeling quite good about themselves. Donny, as I've outlined, a good going forward, not so good at the back. They're fresh. They've not played for ages, and that tells me that they'll have the energy going forward, but there might be a little bit of rustiness at the back. So either both teams to score, or what I've done here is over 2.5, which I think it comes in at quite a reasonable 1.93. So when you look at the stats, this is a bet that makes sense to me. And I'm going to go into League Two for an opposite type of game, really. It's a game between the bottom two, Grimsby and Southend United.
It's definitely not over. Not over.
Southend United are much improved. Mark Mosley's doing a great job at organising the team, much better, and they're nicking some wins. Southend games, as you rightly said, I think only 38% of them have gone over two goals. Grimsby aren't the best at the back, but can't score either. They've got a new manager. I think the focus for the new manager, Paul Hurst, will be solidity. And this is, bottom two, this is a match neither team can afford to lose. So I think it is going to be cagey with a capital C. Under 2.5 is a bit skinny. So under 2.25 on the Asian handicap, 1.93. That's my selection.
All right, sounds good. Another good few EFL looks there for Adrian. Mark, you're taking us around the continent this week. Where we off to find the value?
We'll go to Turin first on Saturday. Serie A remains the place for goals in Europe at the moment, 3.15 per game, 62% of the games going over 2.5 goals. If you just translate that percentage hit rate into implied odds, you're looking at around a blanket price of 1.6 for over 2.5 goals. I've got a game here which is 1.94 now. It was 1.96, so we're already seeing trickles of interest. But I mean, it's Torino against Spezia. For the most part, the lines and odds are very reflective of those high goal tallies, but this is an outlier, as was Monday night when Sampdoria played Spezia, an outlier. It's easy to see why you just go down the underlying process, and neither Spezia nor Torino are particularly overwhelming in the final third, but they are giving away many chances. And just from a Torino perspective, Marco Giampaolo, appointed in the summer, a very attack-minded coach, 17 games in charge, 11 have seen over 2.5 goals at 65%. 8 of them, 47%, have featured 4 or more goals, and both teams have scored in 71% of their games. 7 of 8 in Turin have seen both teams scoring as well. We know what they're like. Rincon, their midfield man, shield and enforcer, he's suspended. Belotti, their main man in attack, was rested from the start in the Coppa Italia on Tuesday night. So they should be raring to go. And then you look at Spezia, who are new to the division, but playing really good football, really quite fun to follow, actually. I've seen a few of their games down the last few weeks. 14 of the 17 have gone over 2.5 goals. 7 have featured over 3.5 goals, 71% both teams scoring. Away from home, over 2.5 goals, paying out in 7 of 8 games. Their main man, they have got a few injuries, but their main man, Nzala, Gyasi and Farias, line up in a 4-3-3 in attack. They're really quite lively, will cause problems for this Torino team too. So I fancy them to get on the score sheet at least. But these two teams together have combined to score in 28 of 34 league games this season, despite their struggles, and they've only kept 5 clean sheets. Their games combined have averaged 3.42 goals per game. So that only increases when you look at their home and away records as well. So overs is a call, 1.94 right now. I expect it to go closer to 1.9 or possibly shorter. And then France.
Yeah, go for me. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, we talked about Sheff United in midweek. We talked about Schalke. We didn't talk about Schalke, but we talked about Sheff United coming straight after Schalke. Nîmes, basically the next team who are in disarray in France. They were promoted a couple of seasons ago, played some really thrilling football after promotion, but their kind of success saw all their big guns pilfered, and their head coach, Bernard Blancart, decided to step down in the summer after falling out with the president, and things have just unravelled and regressed really badly since. Go back to October's international break, and Nîmes have lost 11 of 13 league games since, and the two that they didn't, they were incredibly fortunate to pick up points from. They've scored 4 goals in that 13-game spell. That's almost 20 hours of football, and 9 of the losses have been by a margin of 2 goals or more. So, yeah, in early December, they were beaten 2-0 by Marseille at home, and I'm happy for Marseille to do something similar on Saturday in the Velodrome. Marseille, let me just find it quickly. Minus one and a half on edge handicap is 2.26, which is a big price.
Nice price, yeah.
Yeah, they're not the flashiest or the most ruthless teams under AVB, but they're in the title hunt. 7 wins from 11 against teams in 8th and below. Not a huge amount of statistical evidence to support Marseille in that regard. And I know they had to play in the Trophy de Champion on Wednesday night against PSG, which is a bit of a sort of negative, really. But they played very well in that game, I thought, especially in the second half. And Nîmes are just completely out of their depth. They're returning sub 30% XG and XG open play ratio figures, which is something we saw kind of similar to Toulouse last year. And we saw how Toulouse just were absolutely abominable in Liga. So, yeah, they're averaging 3.23 expected goals against in the last 4 away games. And they came against Strasbourg, Saint Etienne, Monaco, and Lorient. This is a step up from 3 of those 4. So, yeah, Marseille should seal a quite comfortable victory.
Adrian, I don't know about you, mate, but I'm listening to Mark rattle off the stuff about Nîmes, and I'm like, where does this guy get the time? Nîmes. He's just like an absolute encyclopedia about this lower French team. I don't know.
Yeah, no, he never sleeps, clearly. Yeah.
I thought, awesome. Yeah. Different body clock to us, anyway, mate. I'm not always wrong. All right, let's move on. Weekend best bets. Mark, stay with you. Kick us off. Where are you going for your best bet this week?
Yeah, I've already mentioned it. Just a price play, really. Torino against Spezia over 2.5 goals really appeals at 1.95, a shade of odds on.
Yeah, R.I.P. Catenaccio. I think that's how it's pronounced, that whole Italian defensive thing. Yeah, it's gone. Forget about it. Adrian, your best bet for the weekend, man?
Well, the best one that we've discussed, I think, is Saints plus half a goal at Leicester. Better than odds against. Yeah. I think that's really, really appealing. But my best bet is going to be something I'm going to be talking about in my Insights column this week. So I'll give that a little plug. I'll explain in more detail there for my reasoning, but Oxford travel to Northampton this weekend. Northampton are abysmal against the better teams in the division at home, and Oxford are one of the most informed teams in the country. You can get Oxford currently at 1.91. That's my best bet of the weekend.
Yeah, and check out insights.matchbook.com. Adrian Clarke has been on a heater there with his EFL selections. I think we're off next week, guys, in the FA Cup next weekend, but I think we have 2 podcasts the week after that. There's a full Premier League fixture list thereafter, midweek and on the weekend. So we have 2 pods again that week. But Adrian, my thanks to you. Mark, my thanks to you guys. Really good midweek slate. Hopefully we'll keep it going for the weekend ahead. Best of luck to you out there if you're watching or listening to us today. Thanks as ever. Best of luck with your bets, and we will chat in about 10 days' time. Take care.